What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the House of Holocrons podcast on the Ducks and Download channel. We are on episode 63, and this time, of course, we're going to be talking about all the fun things Star Wars and the most recent Bad Batch episode. This Bad Batch episode was a very quick one and is really helping us move the story along, which I'm all for. But it was really reliving a lot of old scars in, I think, one of the best ways we've seen in 27 minutes. It did a lot without having to rely on anything too heavily, visually. It was, without any spoilers, it was definitely just a very cinematic, very emotional bonding episode, and I really enjoyed it a lot. With spoilers and all that, getting into it, of course, we pretty much start off back on Pabu, I believe, and we have Omega wakes up, has the best sleep of her life. You know, she's all free and stuff.
It was really close to a traditional Bad Batch episode.
Yeah.
Which not only because we had almost the whole group back together, but it just the way it did, because it was kind of progressing a storyline while also kind of doing the whole serial aspect of like the side mission.
And it was fun because we got to see Crosshair training. He's got that shake in his hand now. It's sadly going to affect him. And the beginning of this really sets up that Hunter, he's okay with Crosshair being back, but he still wants to know what's going on. He doesn't trust it entirely. He's skeptical, to say the least. I wouldn't say he trusts Crosshair, but he's very skeptical as to motives and what happened and why the Empire, threw him away.
Well, he's got I wouldn't say a grudge. He's just still got that. Is it that he doesn't trust him? He's still kind of that feel of betrayal still lingering. He still feels like he still got that sour taste in his mouth. He's still worried that he's going to betray him again. I don't think he's. Like I said, I don't think it's more of like he's mad at him for betraying him. It's just the kind of the pain that it led.
But we get Echo, so we get the whole batch back. Besides Tech, of course.
Echo shows back up, yeah.
They even have to bring it up. Echo's back. He's like, "Oh, we got to find out, what's going on. Figure out what's going with Tantus." That's pretty much the main part of this. Is Rex and Echo want to, of course, go to Tantus to free all the clones that are imprisoned there. So this is 100% just a quick speculation. This is definitely going to become the clone rebellion. I think what we're going to get of a rebellion is probably not going to be a full rebellion. It's going to be a prison break. Some are going to live, a lot are not.
But yeah, they're gonna Mount Tantus will go away. They'll move the what they've learned. So they've learned what they needed to. They just need the missing piece. And then, but yeah, it was funny. We had Echo was when Echo saw when he saw him, he said, "Are we good?" And he goes, "Well, it depends on what intel you got."
Yeah. Echo doesn't care. Echo's like, "Whatever, you're back, right? I believe it. Cool. You're not shooting at me." And I mean, that's the thing with Echo. And then again, they remember the chip. They all were 100% would have been under control had they not had that taken out and had it been able to be fixed. Echo, had he not been turned into a machine, he would have been just like like Fives. He would have been like Jesse. He would have been like all of them.
Well, it seemed like, and when he's talking later that the chip didn't fully control him because they were kind of trying to get to the bottom of it, and he kind of was talking about how he thought it was. He kind of was starting to see it like it. He thought he was doing the right thing. He thought he was doing what he should have been doing. So I don't think it was fully the chip. I think the chip probably helped, but he also probably thought,
good soldiers follow orders. Like, as simple as it is, that's what it was.
Well, and it's probably not just following who's ever in charge, but it could also be just, that's what he does. He probably couldn't understand not being a soldier anymore, which a lot of the clones did. A lot of the clones were suffering from that issue. It happens in real life. I mean, we see it in the Empire. We see it where soldiers sometimes do blindly follow. Look back at why would you do the things you did. They just thought they were doing what was right at the time.
Right, exactly. And it is really good to see, though, because at the same time where Wrecker might still be upset, and he has his own burden and
Yeah.
scars to bear from this. He has kind of just accepted it. He gave him his rifle back. They get him his armor back. He gets all suited up in it because they're going on a mission. They need to find an Imperial facility or something in which they could plug in Nalase's old data pad and try and like skim all the data off of it they could possibly get. Well, this is when we finally get to go back to somewhere I really didn't think we were going to ever go back to, but it really kind of adds weight to this whole brothers fighting thing. We're going back to the planet with Mayday and those troops, and it was crazy. Like, that was awesome when I saw that. I was like, oh, no way. But I also would like to say that I know exactly what was going to happen when they got off the ship and Batcher started barking at the thingies, and they're like, oh, that's just some weird sensor thing. I'm like, no. Those are going to turn off, and that's going to somehow play into a big part of this plot now. I just feel it in my bones because they decided to mention it.
Yeah, well, we didn't have no clue that there was some kind of weird, like, worm, like ice worm.
Yeah, they had never. That was never even seen in the last time we saw this.
Honestly, I'm surprised it wasn't worse.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like multiple of them out there, but
right.
It seemed like why didn't they just kill that thing?
How did the rebellion people like survive on that planet, stealing from the Empire when there's that giant ass worm out there?
Because we're not supposed to ask that question,
right? But it's still fun. They go in. We go to the all power from the Omega's over there being fucking smart as shit. I love it. I love her so much. She's clever.
Tech Junior though. Yep. I was like, it's still. She learned. I mean, that's just coming with my background in engineering popping out. I'm like, it takes. It's you don't just learn everything that quickly.
Well, she's got the Force and stuff. But yeah, so she's her and Echo, they'll start working together. And Hunter decides to split up with Crosshair. Like, he's gonna squash this stuff now. And again, I was super happy about that. I love the pace that this has been taking so far because I don't want it to go super, super, super slow. Like, as much as we have more episodes to go, we need this story to actually progress fast, or else it's going to become really rushed at the end. Now that we've already gotten everyone back together, and now that we're already doing these missions together, the story can really go on to the really cool big stuff.
I wanted more episodes before we get to the big, the big plot line that's building up towards. I wanted some episodes where it's just the batch back together.
Yeah.
And we didn't really get too much at the beginning with the sniper. What's his name again?
Crosshair.
Crosshair. With Crosshair, because he joined pretty early on.
Yeah.
He joined so early on that we rarely get to see even images of Crosshair in his traditional armor. Like, there's not, we don't have a Black Series with him in his old armor, do we?
Yeah, we do.
I thought it was just Imperial armor.
No, yeah, there is an Imperial one. I still need that one, but no, I have the whole first batch where they're all in their armor. That's out. Yeah, he's got his backpack, his sniper helmet.
I can't remember because I hardly ever see him in that armor.
Yeah,
so it's cool to see him. They need to join the group and change the colors. So,
but he does need to update the paint job. Knowing him, he'll just make it all black.
I want to see some more episodes of just them before we start going, rushing to the big plot line.
Before we get to Asajj, honestly, I would love another one of these nice serial ones before we even get to Asajj or Finnick or Cad Bane. But
because it's kind of like how the whole thing started.
Yeah, and it felt very just fun and Bad Batchy. It was just a fair. It's not a bad thing for these series to have, and it wasn't even filler though, because it did emotionally move along the connection between Hunter and Crosshair. Because Hunter, just like I said, he's immediately the second they leave the base, to check the perimeter, do their thing. They remove all the power from the beacons to power up the place. They're just doing their thing, hacking. So of course Hunter and Crosshair, they need to go squash this because they're just arguing every time they talk now, pretty much. And I love Omega's like, I told you to talk to him, not argue with him. And literally, he started it.
She reminds me of that kid that has like two separated parents, so they're trying to get them back together.
It's the Parent Trap.
But yeah, it's really funny, and then I like how before they acknowledge if they had tech there, they wouldn't have to do any of this stuff.
Right? Yeah, it'd be done already.
Would have to go to this other planet.
It's a fun.
where the cat. The cool thing about going back to this
Mm-hmm.
planet is it not only brings it back, it brings back where his kind of it all started, where he kind of switched back over away from the
Exactly.
Empire. So it's bringing kind of up old wounds. Top of it's letting Hunter see what happened to him in a
Yeah,
way. So he
and
kind of sees
that's
the helmets and
yeah, that's I think that scene exactly right there. That scene is really powerful, and I think is kind of why Hunter doesn't immediately just like hit him. I feel like that the altercation would have been worse if Hunter hadn't seen Crosshair really like pay homage to these dead soldiers, which was never his thing. Crosshair never used to care about stuff like that, even when he was just in the Bad Batch. That he didn't care. But he really had like respect for these soldiers, and he picks up Mayday's helmet first, and that was touching to see. And I really feel like those moments are awesome to get, but it worries me then too because in Star Wars it's like, okay, we're getting too tied up, we're getting too emotional, people are getting really happy. What's gonna happen? But I'm sure again the next episode is probably not gonna be nothing too crazy. I don't think it's gonna be anything
no,
like
if they're gonna
death
do another
wise.
tech, they got to make it like super happy. And
Yeah.
so if we start seeing happy and family related stuff, then
Yep.
that's when you
That's
got
what
to
we
start
know.
worrying.
Yep. You can't
You
be too
start adding
happy.
love interests and anything that causes attachments or anything like that. You start seeing that everything goes
Right.
perfect, then that's where we got to worry. Somebody's gonna die.
But it was a good altercation too when Hunter does confront him. He just asks him what's his deal pretty much. Crosshair comes out and says it. Like he's like, no, you don't understand. I killed an Imperial officer. That's when you talked about earlier. He just thought he was doing the right thing. He didn't think he was being evil. He was just trying to do what he thought was right in the moment. And then of course the chip is probably pushing him back into the Empire a little bit and whatnot.
Yeah, it was probably muddying a little bit, but
Mm,
I think he was still in control. And he even says like, now that I look back, I realized what I did was wrong.
mm,
And it happens. You like I said, you see people in history all time and time again in our world and in even Star Wars world where people get kind of caught up in something and don't realize
mm-hmm.
they're on doing the wrong thing at the time. Like they're kind of inspired by the movement or they're got the one-sided perspective and they don't realize what they're doing is wrong.
Right.
Seeing it from an outside point of view, it's easy to say what you were doing was evil. So
Right.
it's kind of, yes, he was wrong. Yes, what he did was horrible, but
There's a scene in the new Phase 3, not this brand new one, but the Phase 3 Eye of Darkness book that I think it's fun. It talks about that too. There's a guy talking about the Nihil kind of like that. He's like, but I mean, do they think they're bad? They don't think they're evil. They're doing what motives they're used, and that's just why they do it. No one
yeah,
in history, no one who was committed the atrocities thought they were atrocities at the time. Sadly, that's just one crazy person with a really good speech pattern with a really a high speech stat, and they just kind of you just follow along sometimes.
it's either that or it's the winners decide who was right
Yeah,
or wrong. It's
exactly.
typically what happens.
And in this one, so back to the batch though.
Yeah.
We with the beacons down now and Hunter and Crosshair out in the middle of Nowheresville, the ship sinks and this giant ice worm attacks. They barely get out with their lives. Hunter's doing what he can to just run. Crosshair's trying to shoot, but of course he's got that shake in his hand. His aim's just never going to be what it was, which is his whole persona. So that's not going to be fun for him. I don't know what he's going to do. But it seems if it's not his other hand, I don't know if he can't just switch hands. I don't know if it's not going to work for him.
I doubt. I mean, unless you're being ambidextrous as a
Mm,
shooter is very rare, and not only that, most weapons are meant for right-handed.
yeah,
You have to actually take apart most guns if they are able to do that to switch them over. Not everything just because you think it's just a hand on the trigger. No, you get your magazine release or your would be there the heat release.
yeah.
You get the safety and stuff like that. And so any of the mechanisms are situated for right-handed. So yeah, with the setup and then I don't even know if it's just the right hand. It could be both hands. I think
True.
it's mostly mental, not just the
Oh
hand.
yeah. But he does get
Uh,
one good shot off. I mean, like there's a good running scene and stuff. They get back in. That's kind of when like there's we get like the big, oh my god, what are they gonna do? They have to go turn the beacons back on. They need to go find the new powers and supply. They have to lead the beast outside before they can do it. So this whole rest of this episode, pretty much, it is just like Hunter and Crosshair while the rest are in the bunker doing their thing. But that was the point. This episode is really pushing heavily on getting Hunter and Crosshair back into this relationship, and it works because as they run out, they are able to lead the beast astray. Eventually with Batcher's help, like Batcher loves to dig holes. We find in this episode, he's really, really into it. He's a walking shovel, pretty much.
He's just trying to help out. It's so crazy how obedient. I don't know how she made this attack dog so obedient. I'm telling you, she's got really powerful force and doesn't realize it.
Extremely powerful force connectivity powers. Because that dog loves them all now. Like it's almost like it's Crosshair's dog now after the last episode. It's really following him a lot, and it like always nuzzles up next to him, and he doesn't even push it away. Which that's a lot of character growth right there, if nothing else.
I like we also got some big lore at this point. That was almost a throwaway line. It was kind of a joke. But it's kind of big lore because he calls her out for being a kid, and she points out that she's actually older than he is.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You got to remember that most of the adult clones were all the adult clones were they were age
accelerated.
Yeah, and she wasn't.
So where she's she's like 15 years old, but she's a legitimate 15-year-old. Echo's like 15 years old, maybe 8. Because she was one of the first. That's what she talks about too. Omega, like she's one of the first. She was made a long time ago, probably.
Yeah, I wonder how much later than Boba Fett they made her.
True.
I don't know what Boba Fett is at this age. I think he is around. I think he's a couple years older.
Yeah, I think he might be.
Because he's still pretty young. Because how they changed the age of Boba Fett. He's like low 20. I think he's like 19 or something during episode 5. He's really young. And then,
but yeah, she's probably at least 3 to 4 years younger than he is. It looks like almost.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe we get to see him. I
would be
doubt
awesome.
It because
gosh, I'd love to see her and Boba meet just for this. Because she'd want to be all happy about it. And I'm sure he wouldn't give a shit.
Well, people were excited because we got Boba Fett's young Boba Fett's voice actor.
Yeah,
was going to be like the cameo. Everybody's excited, and he did make his cameo, but he played young clones.
Right.
So it was not as exciting of a reunion as people were hoping for, but it was cool having him back for that previous episode.
Oh, it was so awesome. I could once I was told that's who it was, I could go back and hear it. Like, oh yeah, it's totally awesome. Yeah. I love that they're bringing these people back because I saw that Ahmed Best actually posted something where he's in a full mocap doing something for Star Wars. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I wonder what he's going to be doing for Star Wars. Maybe it's more Killer and Beck. Maybe Jar Jar Binks is coming back into something. The Jar Jar Binks show, I'm down. What happened to him after episode 3? What happened to Jar Jar?
He's playing another one, and Acolyte is one of them.
Oh, that'd be awesome. He's like the big bad guy in Acolyte. That'd be so cool.
We joke about it. We don't realize how violent Gungans are.
It's especially
like as bad as an Ewok Sith.
Yeah. No. Again, guys, you always hear me try to read it. Have you all read the High Republic? In the High Republic, there's a few Nihil Gungans, and they're just the most evil.
Oh, one of them is he's like a sub boss at one point.
Yeah,
he's like one of the sub commanders, and he's pretty crazy.
They even look really. The concept art for him is gnarly because like they have their horns are like more gnarly that grow from their fins, and when you think about ocean life,
Lorna D or something like that.
Oh yeah, he works for Lorna. Yeah, he's with Lorna D. He's like one of her like second in command kind of things, pilot and something. But I'm excited to see what Ahmed Best is gonna bring back. Man, I'm all over the place tonight. The Bad Batch was it was amazing though. We got Crosshair to save Hunter. Badger digs a hole, finds him. He breaks through with his rifle, He holds his rifle down, saves Hunter at the last second from the mighty worm. I mean, it's your classic cliche story, but not in a bad way. It was in no way like boring. It was still fun, but it didn't have too much weight behind it, except for just average suspense, a good little bit like, oh, I'm sure they're gonna make it. Like this, they're in no way was I worried that Hunter was gonna get eaten by that worm at 1 second in that episode.
Well, we had to know that for Hunter to fully trust him along the way, it's got to be that traditional trope of when there's two feuding characters, like the betrayal's been looming against them. Eventually, one of them's got to save the other to kind of get that trust back.
Right.
So that had to be brought in, so that way we can start seeing the road to trust.
And it worked.
Kind of like opening his eyes, because that was the whole groundwork that they were kind of laying for this episode. We get to see the helmets, the explanation, also the interference with Omega, and then him saving his life. So at this point, he's probably almost close to fully trusting him once again.
And that's what it really shows at the end of it. Like they give the the brotherly head nod. They're just like, yeah, okay, we're cool now.
Yeah, they're real men. They don't hug it out.
Yeah, they're not going to talk about it anymore now. They shared a life altering to terrifying moment. So that's good enough, right? But it was a really good serial episode. I'm happy it had this nice ending. And again, this means we can now just move on. Like, we don't have to keep setting up. We don't have 3 episodes of therapy. It's done. It's over. And now we can get into this awesome place where we're able to really just, like, let the Bad Batch story unfold and get epic and grandiose and become the finale soon, Yeah,
the problem is, I have a feeling that now Echo got what he came for. I'm assuming he got all what he came for, that he's going to want to lead back to Rex while they plan the wheels in motion.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Bad Batch boys will be back up to. They'll probably go back and chill out at the beach.
Maybe they'll take care of Sid,
Yeah, maybe Sid will pop back up.
No, I'll tell you, they take care of her.
So loose ends, so they hire some bounty hunters.
Yeah, to find Sid. Exactly. Hey, there we go. That'd be fun. I think maybe in like the next 3 episodes, we've got to eventually start getting into. I mean, I hope, I should say, that I really do think they're going to go back to Mount Tantus and like try and save all these clones, and it's going to lead into this massive thing. Like, I would hope so, at least. They've set up this nice other storyline.
The episode titles, I don't remember which episode it does lead to that. Which we just had The Return. The next episode is Infiltration and Extraction.
That could be another serial one.
It's a 2 episode. It seems like we're getting a 2 episode premiere on next.
Oh! I did see that we're getting like 3 2 episodes. That was right. That's cool. Ooh, now I'm really curious. Uh-oh.
Like I said, it's called Infiltration Extraction, which is episode 6 and 7. So that might be them trying to go get the clones off Mount Tantus.
That, or I don't know. I want to see Asajj really soon. Maybe it's just a personal bias because I love Asajj. I really want to see Asajj Ventress in the show sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it seems early for them to rescue this early on to go back to Mount Tantus.
Right.
But I don't know what the Infiltration Extraction would be if not that, unless there's some other plot line that pops up.
Right.
Maybe they found some more intel that they got to.
Well, I guess they do. Maybe this is them getting Wolf out. I know that'd be a big one.
They really need to see if they can wake up Scorch.
Yeah, God, that'd be so cool if we could get like.
He's going to be a problem. That's the problem. He's going to be a big problem for them.
I know a lot of people keep saying they look at these other clone commandos that like some have the gray paint and stuff, and they're like, no, there's the squad. I'm like, I really think it's gonna be only Scorch. I think the rest of them are gone. Yeah,
I think they want to stay back with Scorch, and then those are just generic commandos. Which, let's just call them generic commandos, is still a big deal.
They're still awesome.
They are something to be worried about. They're not. If we get an episode where they're fighting and they just die so very quickly, that would not be right. They are one of the strongest troops. There's a reason why they're kind of using them as bodyguards currently.
At the most like the most number one place that Palpatine can't have anyone fucking around and like breaking into, blowing up. Like he needs this place to stay secure. This is his Project Necromancer.
Yeah, the Death Troopers eventually are supposed to be the replacement of them, though they're not equal. No.
I mean, maybe this is the thing. Maybe this is what leads to the Death Trooper having to be formed, is because Mount Tantus just gets like obliterated and they're all pretty much dead.
It would be cool to see that as their origin, because if you think about it, when we see anything after this, any kind of scientific thing like that is all being guarded by Death Troopers and all the high-ranking, or even
and all them.
Thrawn has Death Troopers that guard him later on. And right now they're using the clone commandos, so maybe we might see what makes the Death Troopers so. Maybe we might find out maybe they are just clone commandos wearing new armor.
Yeah, that would.
I doubt it. But.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna try and keep any clones. Like if they're gonna, the second they move on with armor, they're just killing them off, throwing them in a cell. I'm surprised they're not trying to test on the clone commandos too. I bet they are. I guarantee there are some clone commandos in some of those cells.
I'm sure. The only reason why I think they're keeping them around is because it's like, if you're gonna keep any clones around, I would keep clone commandos around.
The most expensive asset.
They're very expensive. They're the elite clones. They're not like the shinies you can just toss around. These guys are a lot different. And they're also probably using them to train, which we kind of see that they're using them
train the TKs.
Which apparently they're not very good teachers. So
I mean, you can only teach so much. You can tell them everything. You can show them all the materials, but that doesn't mean they're going to do everything with it. Plot armor gets far thicker as Star Wars gets older.
I joke about, because that's the joke, though.
It's always amazing.
We see the more robust, like the ones outside the Death Stars. You have tails outside of, well, even you see in episode 4, the quote of like, only stormtroopers can be so precise. It's like stormtroopers are stronger than we think. It doesn't help that they're using submachine guns as their main weapon.
But I think it was again, it's just a good episode. It was very quick and easy and did everything it needed to do to get everything set up and moving forward. And I'm fine with these shows doing that. Like I would hope in the future other shows, like with Acolyte, with Skeleton Crew, if you need to take an episode just to set things correct and like make it all done, do that. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. Didn't. Yeah.
If they didn't like really sit down and like, we need to settle what happened, because it was a big deal.
Right.
And he killed clones. He tried to kill them.
Yep. Multiple times.
So it needed to happen. If it didn't, they just said, "Oh, he's welcome, brother, welcome back."
Right.
Yes, but also no. After how far he crossed the line many times, and he stayed past that line.
Oh yeah.
So it needed to happen, and I'm glad it got done over now instead of just kind of dragging it along, because I've seen some properties do that.
Yeah, dragging it out
gets annoying. It sometimes does feel a little cheated that we got to kind of rush through, but with how short the season's going to be, we still have quite a bit of episodes left, but they're so short. Why don't they give us a full 30 minutes when there's no commercials? I don't know. I know when you're like watching shows that are like meant to be with commercials, they're like 20, 15 minutes ish. That's because they're meant to be aired with commercials.
Yeah.
But we're not watching commercials. This is on Disney Plus. Give us the full 30 minutes. Stop cheating us. You don't have to meet certain air times on TV.
Well, the really crazy thing too is how some feel so short and then others will feel really long. Like some episodes do feel like, oh, that was a good one. And others feels like that was over so fast. This one was a nice middle ground. But the two-parter, if that's going to happen up next, that's always fun. Those multiple episodes when you really get a good story in like about an hour, or 48 minutes.
I kind of like having the change up. I personally like the hour long content. I know some people kind of hate it. but having something a bit shorter that's kind of, it's a little deep but not too deep. It is a change of pace that's I like.
Yeah, I've always
And
enjoyed that a lot more too, because I feel like, I mean, I'm down for more episodes too. Like, I'm not going to say don't.
yeah,
Please, you can do hour episodes and do more than 8. Like, that's also a thing.
yeah.
But I understand why they don't. 16 episodes at 30 minutes, where it feels really set up and
What's
separated, versus an hour where you can get invested and really tell a story each episode.
It was the choke kind of kept from Clone Wars because it was
Mm-hmm.
on TV. They kept that
With
into Rebels,
commercials.
which was on TV.
Yep.
Rebels was, and so they're like, oh, we'll just keep that kind of
Mm-hmm.
going with these 20-minute episodes. I'm like, we could do the full 30 minutes. It's okay.
Right.
You're the one who's dictating the time limit. Nobody else is. There's no there's no Disney Channel saying, "Hey, we gotta meet these requirements for ads
Yeah,
and
it's not
everything
going
like
up on the
that."
Disney Channel. There is no Disney Channel.
And if you want to add ads, please don't do that. Netflix did that.
Oh God! Don't even mention it out
I
loud. That might hear it and then run with it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I hate
gross.
that so much. When you pay a subscription for a service and they still
Yeah.
add ads in there, I'm like, might as well just get a television
Hey,
cable net.
100%, 100%. But thankfully, that's not what's happening with Disney Plus, and I'm very excited for the future
No.
of it. I think, again, Acolyte. That's what I'm the most excited for. We haven't heard any like new rumors, but it still seems like, was it June 9th, I believe,
I
was
mean,
the tentative release date.
I think with because they just had the big conference and they put
Mm-hmm.
Bob Iger in charge. With how he's trying to redo things or not really redo, kind of change things
Yeah,
around. I I don't think he will. I think he'll want more Star Wars because
yeah,
the main reason they brought him back is because Disney was losing money, and Disney wasn't doing so well on Disney Plus. And he's like, hey, we need to stop trying to, be well. The message. I'm not going to get into whether you believe a kind of this message or not. He just wants to put out. He's like, we need to stop worrying about trying to tell a message. We need to put out good content.
yeah.
And that's what really put us into play. Was back in the day, nobody cared about whether we told a good message or not. We
It's had good
good
stories.
movie. And so what really set off Disney Plus was Star Wars, whether
Yeah.
you believe it or not. So I don't see how he wouldn't say, "Hey, we need more good Star Wars." That's how we're going to get this
Mm-hmm.
Disney Plus back into getting subscribers back. Subscribers came in flooding numerous people because of The Mandalorian.
Right, but with the great authors and the things we have nowadays, you can Star Wars, even like with comics and all of that stuff, like all of these, like we're literally looking at, like there's a non-binary / trans Jedi right there, but it's not ever a mentioning. It's not ever a thing. These new writers that they're getting for shows, for comics, for all of it, are doing such an amazing job of having these people represented within stories to where a message isn't fucking necessary. The message was only ever there because the minorities weren't ever represented, because people were being like really hurt from that, and because there were so many bad things. But now that these writers can actually tackle these issues and put them in a good story, we don't fucking need to worry about any of that. We're just going to worry about making a very good, very interesting stage with a great storyline, with and great characters. The characters lately have been amazing in Star Wars. I mean, think about Fennec Shan,
Well,
the Bad Batch people. We've got like all the people from
we're
the High Republic.
we're normal enough now that we don't have to have a whole story, explaining what
Mm-hmm.
transgenders and what gay people are, or
Yeah.
putting this person out. Look, they're gay. We're past that point.
Yep.
They can be in the background. We have movies, shows, everything out now with transgender actors,
Mm-hmm.
transgender characters, gay relationships. They're all over the place, and they just exist.
Yep.
And we can just let them exist without. And that's what I think would do a disservice if they ever do that. Which I have no
Mm-hmm.
problem. Which is it's fine. But when you focus, say, hey, this is the transgender Jedi. No, let's put them a Jedi that happens to be transgender. That in a universe where we should be at this point,
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't be the defining moment. It's just who they are.
Yep.
You know,
I
so
think,
that
yeah,
that's
these
where
writers are doing so good.
that's where things were starting to deviate a little bit with some of the newer Disney content, and I'm not going to go into that. Um, let's just let what we need to stop pointing out how people are different
Mm-hmm.
and just start enjoying, like, not be the focal point and like the focus, because everybody knows what it is, whether
Yeah.
you agree with it or not. We are 2024,
Mm-hmm.
and let's just have characters just have lives,
Yeah.
whatever they are, whether they're transgender, whether they're gay, whether they're just normal cisgender. I'm fine with having, one of the side characters be gay, one of another or the main character being transgender and
Mm-hmm.
gay. That's fine. Let's do that. We have no problem with it. And the only people that will, there'll always be people combating it, and
Yeah.
those they're gonna be unhappy regardless if the main character is trans or not.
Right.
So
There are
let's
people who
just
will
not
be
worry about
angry.
them.
Right. If there are people who are going to get angry if there's a Jedi in the High Republic Acolyte series, if they all have green lightsabers and none of the Jedi have blue lightsabers, someone's going to be angry. Like
Let's get to the point where we realize that Twitter is not the voice of everyone.
X, you
When you
mean?
see
Yeah.
these annoying X, and you see these people that are making these comments, they're seeing these rude comments about this
Yeah.
isn't my Star Wars, click on their name and seeing how many people actually follow them, and how real they don't speak for nobody. They only speak
Right.
for themselves. So let the comment disappear. Let's get Star Wars where it needs to be.
And it's
We
doing
need
really,
to,
really well. I'm excited. The movies are going to be the biggest tell.
yeah.
I don't know what exactly the next movie's going to be. I don't know if it's The Mandalorian and Grogu, but like that one's a bit of a write-off. But it's going to be easier because it doesn't have to be so grandiose. We know the premise is already there. It's not going to flop. Like Dave Filoni's not going to give us a big flop house. It's sadly, and I hate that it's going to happen like this. It's going to come down to the Rey movie, which is why I think it's stupid they're already doing it. I was really hoping they were going to do the Dawn of the Force or one of those movies in between. That way there was a buffer of something new. But it's going to rely a lot on Rey for the theatrical side of Star Wars. The
We
Disney
don't have
Plus
a real
releases.
date for the Dawn of the Force, sadly.
Yeah, right. The Disney Plus releases of the shows are brilliant. I love them. But the theatrical side is going to suffer from this first movie. Mandalorian and Grogu will be a little padded because it has the show.
To.
Yeah, exactly.
Mandalorian
Mandalorian and Grogu needs to blow us out of the water because it needs to remind people why Star Wars needs to be in theaters still. And then the Rey movie is going to have to bring fucking everything.
Movies are suffering already.
Yeah,
now, people stopped going to the movies already because of these live stream services, and then we had COVID, and so now people just don't want to go back to the movie theaters. So yeah, you're right. To get people back in the movie theaters, we need a good Star Wars experience. Yeah, you're right. There's so much relying on this movie. If this movie does flop enough, at least in theaters, then nobody's gonna go see the new Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
a lot of people aren't, just because Rey's in it. So that again, they have to fight even harder for that.
Well, it's hard. Even me personally, I'm almost to a point where I hardly ever go to the theaters. I haven't been to the theaters in a long time, and I went to see Dune Part 2.
Which that's what I was gonna say. That one's kind of apparently doing good. Like that, we need more stuff like that. I'm happy that Dune 2 is being so well received because the theater needs it. I miss going to the theater. It's so much fun. Like, but it really, if that died, I would miss it.
Yeah, it's. I feel like you have to see Star Wars in the theater at least once.
Yeah.
I've seen every Star Wars movie in theaters that
I'm happy that they're bringing them back through. That's awesome. Again, we got Phantom Menace coming out and physical media. We also have like Andor season 1, and then all of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series getting a physical steel book. That's awesome with some featurettes in it. Thank you. Like they listen to a degree. Like, give us that. I mean, hey, where's the book of Boba Fett though? Like, that's done.
Yeah, it's great to have because eventually one day, they've already shown it. Not only will one day Disney Plus close, but they've also shown they've taken stuff off Disney Plus that were only on Disney Plus. So there's shows that have been removed off Disney Plus that have been showed nowhere else, so they're just gone. You can't watch those shows ever again. And so there may be a point in time when they feel like they have too much Star Wars content. They just start needing to purging the stuff that nobody watches anymore.
Yeah.
So getting stuff like Obi-Wan, and I mean, I doubt they'll ever remove Mandalorian, but these side ones like Mandalorian and Andor, Obi-Wan and Andor, I could see them eventually being, they're so far down the line that they're going to start just taking them off their servers to leave room for new content.
And they've already released season 1, so I know I'll do season 2 of Andor eventually. But yeah, I want to see them. Where's the big movie pack? Give us the Super Blu-ray Ultra 4K, 1080p with a 4K, 1080p.
They just did one. But we, in 2022.
Oh, really? I need to look at that again. Yeah. I want to buy the newest big pack because that's what I love.
I can send you the link. It has just the main movies in it. They need to do one.
That's what I want. Yeah, one. Finishes. I mean, but imagine that down the line, like in the next 8 years or something, when all this stuff's out. I want the pack that is, we get episode 1, 2. Clone Wars. That'll be a 3.
Big expensive box.
Oh, I know it. I want it. It'd be so cool. They could do so much cool art. Like it opens up like a mural. Oh, that'd be so dope. It would be a piece. It would be like a mantelpiece. It really wouldn't be a box set. It would just be a fucking like $800 mantelpiece.
Well, these ones are already they're like $100 and some box sets already. Right. It's 2019 is the oldest one.
Okay.
I was wrong on that date. I thought it was newer than that. It's called the Skywalker Saga Complete Box Set.
I might have to grab that because again, that's just I love those things.
So right now.
Yeah, it's a sign.
$71.
Ooh. I gotta save my money because this weekend I will be, as of recording this, I'll be working at Planet Comic-Con where Ian McDiarmid is going to be this time, and I'll be getting a signature from the Emperor, which is going to be awesome.
You're awesome, but don't take any more words from us. I love what you did, but
I love it. Please be done in the Skywalker Saga.
You're not doing any more.
Besides voicing, hey, I'm happy he's in Bad Batch. He voiced Palpatine. Yeah. That was fun. Because I have the Dan Prowse, the Scottish actor who was in. Done. Yeah, just tell him he was going to retire and have a good time.
Yeah, just do like Harrison Ford did. So we need to kill off my character. We already did. He's done.
I'm looking forward to it. I got to get my Sith cosplay all kind of fitted and ready to go. It's going to be a good time though. And then let's see. We also I think with this upcoming idea of physical media being released though, that could be such a big thing again, and it doesn't have to only be pushed into movies as long as we get the shows out, and because we already have the movies and they're gonna have to release theatrically. We're gonna get all 3 of Rey's movies. We're gonna get Dawn of the Jedi before movie theaters are dead. Movie theaters aren't gonna completely die in the next 20 years. You
just might start seeing more and more theaters run out of business, but your bigger theaters and
the AMC 30s areas, and
they will still be around. Like where I live, I don't live in a big area. I don't see my theater lasting much longer. Maybe if we start getting resurging of good movies like with Doom 2, maybe we start getting people back.
And silly things like the popcorn bucket that helps these theaters make money off of really dumb attractions.
Yeah, well, they've been doing that lately with because they have a cool with the new Ghostbusters movie, the Ghost Trap popcorn bucket. That's really cool looking. The one I was upset that I missed out on. I tried to get in time, but they sold out which is the Dungeons and Dragons movie. They had a big D20 popcorn bucket that opens up. It's really, I don't know if you've seen it. It's really awesome.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds really cool.
Dragon D&D. It's a giant D20 and it literally opens up and you put your popcorn in there. It's awesome.
I'm happy to see that kind of stuff coming back too, and I really do hope it gets to stick around because theaters have such a special place in my heart with especially Star Wars and stuff like that.
You think
Episode one,
about
2, and 3 as a kid watching that. Oh my gosh, I'd never
just
forget that.
the posters, the
Yep.
cardboard cutouts, the
That poster, every time, like, I sadly haven't been able to get my hands on the Return of the Jedi poster that recently, that re-release, but the Phantom Menace one too, it looks so good. These new artists and the new way they're doing posters are so fantastic.
you have a couple original
Mm,
posters. I have an original Phantom Menace poster. I know that.
yeah,
I think I have one of them that I
I got that
got.
OG Return of the Jedi right there.
I realized why it was cheaper when I bought it, and it was
Mm-hmm.
because it was like from Brazil, so it's
Oh
in a
yeah.
planet. I didn't, they didn't make that known, and so I think the only I don't have any of the original from New Hope because
Mm.
those are so hard to get.
Yeah, that's why that's what I've kind of got into a little bit of collecting with things too. Is my next, aside from Ian McDiarmid, the next big purchase is like I'll be making is I found a Star Wars issue #1, which I'll be very excited to pick that up, which came out before the movies. So all the lightsabers are red and it looks weird, but I love it. It's a laser sword. They just thought, oh, a laser sword. It's all red then, right?
Until he decided to differentiate bad and good.
Yep. Well, I mean, even Ralph McQuarrie, his early design, it was all just like an opaque bluish white. It was just literally a light sword.
They weren't really colored. I don't think.
Yeah, in the original art at least.
And they all had lightsabers.
Yep, everybody. Stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers, yeah.
Yep, everybody had lightsabers. Han Solo had one. I mean, actually, yeah, I got the little Han Solo pop right here. Like OG Han Solo. Lightsaber, weird little headset.
I wonder how Star Wars would be different if lightsabers are just like a normal weapon.
Oh yeah, I mean there'd be a lot more duels if the stormtroopers are running around with these bad boys. how is like a Jedi would have to be extremely powerful if stormtroopers are running around with lightsabers to beat like a battalion of lightsaber wielders.
We joke about stormtroopers like being they can't hit anything and like they're klutzy. Just imagine like just turning and just like stabbing each other.
Their own worst enemy. They have to give themselves like an 8-foot berth in rank, or else they'll just all kill each other. That's
so I think we'd lose it would be a lot different. It wouldn't be as special. Like
lightsabers would not be as cool.
Like episode 2, the iconic moment all those lightsabers lit up was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, iconic to see that many on the screen for the first time. Because before then it was like what 2, 3 most.
I don't think we got more than 2. Oh no, 3 if you count episode 1. But
that's it.
Technically 4 if you count Darth Maul's saber. But before that, we've never had more than 2 at a time. Because even with Darth Vader and Luke's duel, it was just them two.
1-on-1. Yeah, exactly. Sidious never ignites his lightsabers except for in episode 3. That's it. That's the only time he's ever used his lightsabers that he apparently has. And he has 2 of them when you watch the Clone Wars. Who cares? That guy, I can't stand that wrinkly old bag.
And you're going to meet him.
I love his character. He's a bad Sith Lord, though. I might tell him that. I might be like, sir, you're one of the most amazing villains that's ever happened in cinematic history. Palpatine is an absolute evil, maniacal, amazing character. And he's one of the absolute worst Sith Lords I've ever met in my entire life. Darth Bane would be sad. He'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about, kind sir. What do you want me to write on this? What is your name?
I always thought that was so funny in Star Wars that how things expanded based on original characters. Like the idea of Sidious being kind of the original Sith. I guess Darth Vader, Sidious, going to be the original. Well, Sidious, a lot of the Sith stuff is based off Sidious. And the same thing with Boba Fett. But there's so much character built on that idea of these groups. They had Boba Fett's being like the worst, Mandalorian ever. He doesn't like being a Mandalorian and all that stuff. And the same thing with Sidious.
He's just not a good Sith. He doesn't share. He didn't teach his apprentices really anything.
They were the beginning. We thought that we wouldn't have either group.
Exactly. And I love, again, I've never ever wanted to not make sure like it doesn't cross that I hate Palpatine. Great character. Just when you're a Sith freak like I am, he's a horrible Sith Lord. He was so egotistical that he died and he took out the entire Sith with him. Like, who knows what's going to happen hereafter? The Sith could be gone because he was a big egotistical child who took his toys and ran home with them. But I digress. Acolyte's going to be the best thing ever, and I am so freaking stoked for that because I haven't been able to pop into this book yet, but man, Phase 3, I re-listened, reread, and then now just listened to Defy the Storm. I'm just so happy with High Republic. It's such a amazing set of stories.
Yeah, I feel like anything outside the books with the High Republic is really reliant on Acolyte.
Well, then that's the thing. Because this purple wielding, which this is a lightsaber, but it also turns into a lightsaber whip, because that's cool. Vernestra Rowe, that's actually going to be one of the people we are going to see. This is her much younger, but that's one of the people in the Acolyte right there, actually. We're going to be seeing her as a Jedi Master, I believe, in the Acolyte, which will be really cool.
Yeah. Luckily, the crowd that hates anything other than Episode 4 will not be there for it.
I honestly hope that the Acolyte blows so many people out of the water that the High Republic gets flooded, and we're like, man, I remember back in the day when it was cool. Like, I would still rather have that happen. I want people to love the High Republic so badly. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I saw a deal about it today about an article trying to say that they're about to release a trailer soon and trying to give some leaks, but none of them seem really credible.
Yeah.
So I didn't, but I looked in the comments section, and of course some people were saying, I don't want to hear about this activist trash and all this stuff.
It's going to be so good. This activist trash is going to be some of the best Star Wars ever. It is a dark side-led story, and I am so here for that. And the cast is amazing. It's got a great cast. Absolutely stunning cast. So, if those actors can do what I've seen them do in other works, cool.
I will say that when they first announced the High Republic, there were some places that didn't put it in the best light that just kind of permanently ruined it.
Yeah.
Ruined it for me at the beginning, when I was told that it's basically, I was expecting something way different than it was. Thinking that it was just going to be not Star Wars, just like somebody's interpret like what they were wishing was going to be Star Wars,
right?
And then now they're just treating it as now it's going to be like the far left Star Wars. There's so many weird.
Yeah. And it's so sad. It's so sad because honestly, when you pull your head out of your ass and stop listening to other people tell you what's good and what's bad, and then they just read these books or listen to them or read the comics or just like listen to people talk about it and watch videos about what these stories are about, you realize it's just Star Wars again, but it's just free of having to be within the Skywalker saga and involve a Skywalker. And that's why it's so good, is because it's free of the limitations that we've known for the last 30-something years. 50-something years.
Just like news going now, and these people, these small news, articles and YouTubers that make they make a lot of money, just like that. He shall not be named, spreading misinformation, misquoting things, and saying bad things about Star Wars that is not normal. But they make it enticing, and they make it seem like it's the fact when it's not the fact.
And they make good money off of it, so they're not going to stop. They're never going to want to, because it's just this. It's become a part of who they are. The dark side has corrupted them completely. It is just the way of the Force that they have decided to abuse. It becomes sick.
Yeah, but when it comes to Star Wars, give it a chance. You won't like everything. There's some things that people will like.
Yeah.
The things that you like the least, there are guaranteed there are fans that think it's the best thing ever.
There's someone out there who will die for every glub shitto possible. Some random person in the background. Someone has a screen saved of that one random alien or person just in the background, and they go, that's my favorite character.
Well, the only thing all Star Wars fans can agree on is the Christmas special was trash. That's all.
Yeah. That is the most uniting factor we have. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. I know it's like a 5 minute early, but whatever. It's been an amazing time. We've had Bad Batch. You know, we're talking about the future, but we're hoping to get some more with more Star Wars content coming out. It's been an amazing time for the High Republic. We've got books, we've got comics. There's so many new things coming out that way. Hopefully, we'll get some video game announcements here soon, more for Outlaws and things like that. And oh my gosh, a trailer for Acolyte would be stellar. Skeleton Crew, something. Like, I still know so little about Skeleton Crew. It's mind-boggling.
At this point, probably not going to see till May 4th, which
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to say, but we got Bad Batch to hold us over.
Yes, exactly.
And then if you really are bored, you can ignore him, and you can realize that Glub Shido is a musical genius. And yeah, that's all I got to say.
All right. Well, everybody, have an amazing rest of your evening. Thank you so much for stopping by. In the comment section down below, while you're hitting that like and subscribe button, make sure to tell me who your favorite Glub Shido is. Have an amazing rest of your evening, and as always, may the Force serve you well.
May the Force be with you.